Fantasy football season approaching and fantasy drafts in the next few weeks. He has a few wide receivers that have his sleeper options this season. The first receiver, Keon Coleman of the Buffalo Bills. Keon Coleman, he has an opportunity to become the number one wide receiver this season over there in Buffalo. They redid their whole wide receiver room pretty much. Stephon Diggs traded away to the Texans. Gabe Davis in free agency signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They brought in Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins, drafted Keon Coleman. And Coleman, he had a great college career. And now to come into the NFL to play with a quarterback like Josh Allen, who obviously just makes everyone better and could get the football to his wide receivers in places that most quarterbacks can't. So Keon Coleman now, anywhere from that 10th to 12th round range in most fantasy drafts is Keon Coleman. But as the weeks go on, I think he's going to move up draft boards and get drafted higher in your fantasy drafts. But still, I think he's a sleeper, is Keon Coleman. Like I said, he's got potential to be the number one wide receiver over there in Buffalo, where Curtis Samuel's been inconsistent throughout his career. Matt Collins, he really hasn't shown much besides a couple pop games here and there. And even Shakir is more of a slot guy, where I think Keon Coleman could be an all-around type of receiver, lining up in the slot, lining up on the outside, and to play with Josh Allen is a plus as well. So right now, where he's going ADP-wise and the offense he's in, he's a sleeper wide receiver this season. Next receiver, another rookie, Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So him and Keon Coleman, they're both in that 10th to 12th round range for the most part in drafts I've seen and where they're going. But right now, the thing with Brian Thomas in their preseason game, he was in the starting lineup. Him and Gabe Davis is the two starting wideouts with Christian Kirk, the third receiver, and in the slot. And this Jacksonville Jaguar team, their right wide receiver room changed as well in the offseason, where last year they had Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones, and now Zay Jones signing with the Arizona Cardinals. Calvin Ridley getting a monster deal with the Tennessee Titans, and then signing Gabe Davis was Jacksonville, and drafting Brian Thomas early in the NFL draft. So Brian Thomas, he could do it all. He could run the routes, big play wide receiver. He could go up there to the high point and get the football. And to play with Trevor Lawrence, even though I know last season was a total down year for Trevor Lawrence, where a lot of people were big on him going into the year. And now he's pretty much a quarterback you could get in the last couple rounds. But anyway, I think Brian Thomas is a wide receiver with breakout potential. I believe he could have a better year than Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk. It's not hard to believe for me, because we've seen with Gabe Davis, he's been an inconsistent receiver. And that was with Josh Allen, who's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. So Brian Thomas, with potential upside, is being the number one receiver over there in Jacksonville, and a guy could be a top 24 wide receiver possibly at season's end. He's definitely a wide receiver that's a sleeper going in the 10th to the 12th round range. Next receiver, Darnell Mooney of the Atlanta Falcons. So Darnell Mooney signing in the offseason with the Falcons, where he just couldn't get anything going the last few years. What was Mooney with the Chicago Bears? And this Falcon offense obviously reinforced Kirk Cousins at quarterback, whole new coaching staff as well. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Mooney, Kyle Pitts. So this is a solidified offense, I believe it's going to be for the Atlanta Falcons, as long as everyone's healthy. So last season, Mooney didn't do much, 31 catches, 414 receiving yards and a touchdown. But now to go to an offense with a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, who spreads the football out, and he loves driving that football down the field and getting it to his speed receivers. We saw last season in the first half with Jordan Addison before he went down with injury. And we've seen it the last few years with Justin Jefferson, that Cousins stretch the field. Then he's a gunslinger. And I think Darnell Mooney could pay dividends, where he's going undrafted in most 10, 12-team leagues. Right now it's Darnell Mooney. But as a deep league sleeper and keeper leagues in Dynasty, I think that's where the value is going to be. Because so far in drafts that have happened in fantasy football, he's available in 88% of fantasy leagues on the waiver wires, Mooney. So like I said, as a late round flyer and someone who's had some seasons going back a few years ago with the Bears, being one of their top wideouts, I think Darnell Mooney could be surprising, and especially indoors as well, where it's a faster track for wideouts. And Rondale Moore being out for the season helps his cause as getting more targets as well. And next receiver, Jalen Polk of the New England Patriots. So the Patriots, we know their passing game last season was a train wreck at the quarterback position, where it was Mac Jones a majority of the season, barely zap, and they couldn't get anything going. But this season, May or Jacoby Brissett to start the season, definitely an upgrade in my opinion from what this team had last year. And Jalen Polk, another rookie brought in. New England team pretty much went all offense early in the NFL draft. So Jalen Polk, receiving room's up in the air over there in New England. Who's going to be the starters? Juju Smith-Schuster, he got released a few days ago. We'll see if any team picks him up. Jalen Polk, Demario Douglas as the wide receivers that are the front runners, I believe, to have a starting job. But besides that, there's not much going on over there in New England, where it's a bunch of young guys from the draft or second, third year guys to see what they have over there in New England. So like I said, New England, they've been in a transitional mode over the last couple seasons with Tom Brady obviously leaving, and he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then Bill Belichick leaving this offseason, the New England Patriots. And now it's a new chapter, and we'll see if these young players could step up. Polk, he's going in that late 13th, 14th round range for fantasy owners. He could be a potential breakout wide receiver as well, like Puka Nacua last season. No one saw it coming, and he came out of nowhere and became a top 10 wide out in fantasy football. I'm not saying Polk's going to do that, but you never know with these young wide receivers. And I've said it a lot in my videos as well, that in these later rounds, the young players in their first, second year guys are the guys you want to target, because you can catch lightning in a bottle and the breakout potential is unlimited to a player who's been in the league 5-6 seasons, and you know what you're going to get from him. So Jalen Polk is a late round flyer and someone who's going to get opportunities over there in New England. Like I said, they don't got much going on at the receiver position, especially if they're cutting Juju Smith-Schuster. I believe Polk could be a sleeper this year, and the fifth and final receiver I have as a sleeper is Dontavian Wicks of the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers as well, it could be a receiver by committee over there. We know Jalen Reed had the great year last year, 10 touchdowns. Christian Watson, he's a big play receiver, no doubt about it. But injuries have held him back in his first 2 seasons in the NFL, especially last season. Then you got Romeo Doubs, who hasn't done much the last couple of years. And Dontavian Wicks, he's another receiver in that 12th, 14th round range. Fantasy owners could go out there and draft, and I think he's got good sweeper potential. He showed some flashes last season in his rookie year, 39 catches, 581 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns on 58 targets. We know they're going to pass the football a whole lot, even though they signed Josh Jacobs in the offseason as Green Bay. But you're giving Jordan Love all this money and a monster contract. You know he's going to drop back 30, 40 times a game and throw the football. And they're going to spread teams out, I believe, as this Green Bay Packer team. So right now, to get a receiver with decent upside and a potential breakout candidate, because like I said, there's no clear-cut number 1 or 2 receiver over there. It's just a collection of young players and seeing who breaks out for this Green Bay Packer team. And that's pretty much what they've been doing at the receiver position over the last couple seasons. So Wicks is a sleeper receiver this year. That's a few wide receivers that have his sleeper options entering fantasy drafts and the fantasy football season and the upcoming 2024 season.